Unleash Your Inner Goldilocks, how to get it just right. Thank you so much for joining us for another insightful and interesting conversation. Goldilocks is about teaching us how to get things just right, right? She knew how to make sure her porridge was not too hot, not too cold, how where she sat and slept was not too hard, not too soft. So we're taking a page from her lived experience. And we are talking about in our respective worlds, in our respective place of impact, how are we getting things just right? And how can people take a page from that and build their life just right? And you're going to absolutely love the lady I have today, Nancy. Nancy Cotton is a retired teacher. So she has dedicated her life to educating the next generation, a mom, a wife, a absolutely wonderful human being who in her retirement decided she's going to step into the community and teach people how money works so that they can build their financial security and the family's financial security. So welcome to Unleash Your Inner Goldilocks, Nancy.
Oh, thank you so much, Cass, for having me. I feel very honored to be on your podcast.
It's an absolute pleasure. I want you to take a moment and share with our audience what moved you to come out of retirement to do this, especially as at this time when everything is going on around us and you have things going on at home. You finally got retired and you said, nope, I'm going back.
Well, actually, I have been retired 15 years. And in my retirement, I have been an autism advocate. I have a grandson who is 25 and is on the spectrum. He's very high functioning, but he has not really gotten into the socialization part of life. And so I worry about him when he's living with his other grandparents. And when they die, he's going to have a huge change. So I was networking with lots and lots of people, began to network with a gentleman who is on the autism spectrum. And he introduced me to his business partner. And I listened to what they had to say about this opportunity. I was in my 70s, and oh my goodness, I had not learned any of this that they presented to me and before, and I was just shocked of what I was learning. And I thought, oh my goodness, why would I not want to do this and help teach others? There are just so many people out in the community that don't know the things that I have learned. And so that's why I wanted to actually do this business and teach people what they need to know so that they can be successful and grow their money and have a wonderful life with their families. This is not rocket science, but in my career and afterwards, I had four advisors, and those four advisors only asked me these questions. What is your risk tolerance? And what would you like to do with your money? I told them my risk tolerance was fairly conservative and all of that, but I was still in the market and losing money. And so, whenever I was meeting these folks that were in this business, they asked me many, many, many more questions and really probed what I knew and gave me information that I hadn't ever known.
That is wonderful because as a teacher, you always had the natural curiosity and you find yourself in retirement trying to solve a family challenge, but your curiosity took you places where now you're helping other people, even when they're not curious, learn and become curious. So,
Exactly.
through this journey, what have you learned about yourself at this stage in your life?
Well, I have learned that I have to have a great mindset, that I have to believe that I can actually help people. And sometimes we don't believe that. We think that we can't do things that we actually can. And so I've done a lot of reading. I have explored other ideas and how people have managed to be successful. And so I have grown as a person, and I love that. Even in my 70s, we can continue to grow, and then we can actually give others that information about mindset and growing too. And that helps them to be successful. So I have a team that helps me, and all of us are growing as we are doing this business.
That is wonderful to hear, Nancy. We are part of the same team. So, for disclosure purposes, I want our audience to know that. And team building is an essential part of it, right? We each bring our history and our background and our power and purpose into it. But then we also work together to strengthen the team and support each other. Having been a teacher in the classroom and teaching, and then doing this and growing, do you see any parallels in terms of what we teach our children and then what are we trying to build even in our adult life?
Oh, yes. And besides being a teacher in the classroom, I was also a childcare director with a team of people that were teaching children. And I was doing some of that teaching myself. Of course, I was mentoring our teachers also. But it is so important to instill in our children that they can do just about anything they want to do or think they can do. And so we want to make sure that they are having that positive mindset that we can do just about anything that we set our minds to if we have that right mindset. And I just love the fact that we do a lot of training in our business, and all of us are growing. All of us want to help, and we need to make sure in our families that we are teaching children what we have learned and how they can be very successful just in little things whenever they are growing up about money. But definitely, we need to be teaching them a lot of the properties of money, what they can do with it, how it works, the rule of 72, all of the things they need to know so that they can be successful when they get to be an adult.
So I'm going to pivot a little bit, Nancy, and talk to you from the perspective of women and learning and managing money. United States was not one of those countries where women for generations have been managing money, right? The laws of authorizing women to handle money came only in the 70s. And by the time banks and financial institutions made it possible, it was already 1980s, right?
Mhm.
So there's an entire, your mom was now one of those people who were trained to do this, right? So, as we are talking about a society, at least at best 50-50, but United States is 51% women, what is the power of this learning and the journey you're creating for people? How does that transform the lives of women and families?
Yes, it's so very, very important for women to know. And I was part of that um, time when I had to write checks that said Mrs. So and so, and I couldn't get a credit card. But as we have progressed, um, women have a unique place in society where they are actually managing the household. And a lot of the decisions are made by the women. And so they have begun to um, embrace that and actually learn. Women may go through a time when they divorce and they need to know about money so that they can make sure that they are secure when the couple separates. They may have a disabled husband. They need to know about money and how to manage it. They might even have one that dies. And then, obviously, in retirement, 80% of men die married, 80% of women die single. So, whenever they get to be single, they need to know what is going on with the money, where the finances are, what they can do with them. And a lot of those women, whenever they lose their husbands in retirement, want to actually have a woman person to actually help them with their money. They really can trust a woman a little bit more than they do men. And so it's just so very, very important for us to make sure that the women in our society are learning about money and how it works and what they can do with it, that they where they cannot lose any money, where they can grow it tax free, and all those things that we teach so that they can be successful.
That is a brilliant approach, Nancy. And as you do this by yourself, you do this as a team, you build a community around you to do this. How are people receiving it, especially in this day and age, with everything that is going on with employment, with education, with the economy, cost of living? People are struggling. How are they receiving this learning and getting empowered to be able to go through life in a slightly different way than they were prior?
They are actually shocked at what we are talking about. And that was me whenever I heard this. And so, whenever we have gone through a financial needs analysis looking for all the holes in the boats, and we are able to find strategies that can help people, that can actually help them with their taxes, and not losing all the things that we teach, they really are shocked at how they can grow their money, because so many of the strategies we have can grow their money in double digits. So it's very, very encouraging whenever we can actually show the people what they can do with their money. Sometimes it's a little bit hard to get them into that financial needs analysis. Nobody wants to talk about money. And it's kind of been a taboo subject, even in the family. And so we're trying to make that where it's more something that we're able to talk about and not get upset about, and just have a great conversation.
It's interesting you bring up talking about money in this society is very taboo. We say three things are taboo, right? You don't talk money, you don't talk religion, you don't talk politics. But all three shape our lives and the condition of our life. And not understanding not just ours in all those three arenas, but our community and our society and a greater national level. If we're not having these conversations, we're talking past each other and we're ignoring what matters. And then we get stressed out that decisions are being made that don't serve us, but then nobody talks about it. Therefore, it's a secret. Nobody knows. We can't blame somebody for doing things in a way that they are not aware. What advice do you have for parents and teachers to normalize these conversations when raising kids? Just like when you and I were growing up, a lot of things about the feminine biology nobody talked about. We had to figure it out as we went through those cycles and stages. And today, young girls are able to talk about all of it. We need to have the same level of comfort in getting kids to talk about it so that the future is not going to be as blind as our present is. What advice would you have for parents and teachers?
I would tell parents to start when their children are very young and give them little bits of ways to make money. Maybe they do some chores. that can earn them a little bit of money, help them to know what they should do with that money, um, begin to save, because the earlier you save, the more you can grow your money. It's called the time value of money. And then also talk about those credit cards. Oh my goodness. Those credit cards, if you don't pay those off at the end of the month, a terribly high interest rate is going to be charged on what you haven't paid. And so we talk about that. I know when my children were little, we did talk about the credit card. I had a son who was he didn't get the message, and over we tried. But he would just say, "Mom, you just put it on your credit card." And I kept saying, "Son, we have to pay this off at the end of the month." And because he didn't get that message, he got into some credit card problems. And we don't want that to happen to our children. So, very, very young teachers also, we need to have this kind of a conversation in the classrooms, and especially the high school classrooms, so that those kiddos, whenever they get to be 18 and start getting all those credit card applications, that we can get those that information to them so that they don't get into trouble. And that's the best advice I can give right now.
Beautiful. Because ultimately, they turn 18, they go into school, they have a education loan, they have credit card loans, then they have to get a job, they have to get a car, they have a car loan. These things stack up. And then they never get to be free because they are in chains with all their debt. So I'm so glad that this is something you're doing, we're doing together, and we're truly shaping the future for children and for parents and teachers, all of them. So before I open this up to our audience for a conversation, Nancy, could you take a moment and share with folks how they can get a hold of you?
Absolutely. I can be gotten hold of through my website, which is actually called Nancy-Cotton, and that's spelled COTTEN.com. That's actually my autism advocacy one. But I also have one that is howmoneyworks.com/my name, Nancy Cotton.
Thank you so much, Nancy. And we'll make sure the audience get to see your LinkedIn site because you're very active on LinkedIn.
Yes.
Robin, go ahead. I know you have questions.
Yeah, this has been a really great conversation. Thank you so much, and very inspiring to see people of your generation. I'm only a tiny little bit behind you, uh, just doing so many great positive things in the world. I was really struck and impressed when you said that one of the first questions, how did you, go about doing this, is the first, what you learned about yourself is that you needed to develop the mindset that you can do this,
Mhm.
even though you're like coming out of retirement. And also you mentioned what helped you in this was, reading, being curious, how do things work? And exposing yourself to literature and other ideas. So was there any particular type of literature that either helped you really well in the mindset category or even in the how many works category, or something that, like, what helped create this shift, or was it a series of things?
I'm going to tell you right now, I'm not thinking of the titles. I've read a bunch of books, and I'm not pulling them into my brain right this minute, but they were mindset books that I read. I was able to get them in the library. You can get them all over the place. Several on YouTube that I listen to. And that's what I do mostly because I do other things. I have a husband that needs care, and so I'm busy and trying to cook and do all kinds of things for him. And so I listen to a lot on YouTube or just on streaming. And I wish I could think of the names of them right this minute. Sometimes I have senior moments. But I also, we have training that we go to in our business. And actually, we have a book club there, and we go through some of these books and listen to them and then talk about actually how that would work with our mindsets and how we can grow our confidence and our um, interest. Um, just, all kinds of things. And things have opened up for me that I have been really surprised about. And I probably at one time would have been very nervous to get on this podcast. And today I'm not. I'm confident of what I'm doing. And I just love that I'm helping families. That makes me so happy and fulfilled. And so I will try to put some of those books on whenever I get through here, if that's okay with Cass.
Yeah, great answer. I
Absolutely.
love that. Thank you so much. Really, really good feedback.
Thank you so much, Robin, for that amazing question. And Nancy, thank you for all you do, the joy and peace with which you show up to do it.
Cass, that's
You are naturally wired to attract. And thank you for coming on this podcast. You and I have been talking about getting you on, and between my husband being ill and your husband being ill, we finally managed it. So
fun.
thank you for all you do. I look forward to all the amazing things you're going to do. And at different stages of the impact you're creating, please come back and talk to us
I
because people need to hear from women who are wise of a different generation because young women have a lot to learn from your generation.
right. Thank you so much, Cass. This has been awesome, and I just feel very honored to be on your podcast.
Thank you.
You're amazing.
Thank you, Nancy. You're absolutely brilliant. And to our audience out there, you heard Nancy's journey, you heard Nancy's message, and you heard the calmness and peace with which she's talking to you. You need to understand how money works. You need to understand how you can make your money work for you instead of you working for your money. And you need to know the difference between active income and passive income and how you structure your life in a way that in one generation you can give your family a leg up. So please don't hesitate. Call Nancy, call us. We'll figure out a way to match you with the right person. But don't do nothing. We are entering a new year. Make a promise to yourself. Respect, love, and everything you do has to start with you. So take a moment, and self-care is not just about going to a salon or a beauty shop or going for a massage or going to the gym. It's about making sure you take care of you, your financial resiliency, your emotional resiliency. All of that is self-care. So invest in your self-care, allow yourself to thrive with abundance in the new year, and we look forward to hearing from you.